What's up, guys? It is John from Side Hustle Experiment. Today's video, we're talking about somewhat of a controversial topic, and that topic is FBA, sales versus margin. I posted a Twitter thread about this. A lot of people had a lot of reaction to it, so I figured I'd make a YouTube video about it. If you're new to the channel, I've done over 1 million in sales on Amazon, and I'm here to help you guys make money selling on Amazon so you could do whatever you want to do with that money, whether it's quit your job, go on vacation, buy a Lambo, whatever you want to do. So if you're into that, please subscribe to the channel, please follow the channel, and like the video. Unpopular opinion, when I first got started selling on Amazon, people would post big screenshot numbers on Instagram, maybe 10K, which was big for me at the time, 50, 100K. And sometimes I would ask them, like, oh, like, what are your margins on that? Because when I get to your level, I really want to know what to expect when I scale. And I get this question all the time. We've actually hit a good bit of milestones in our business this year. So everyone's like, what are your margins? What are your margins? And I'm no longer answering the question. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why. Before I get started, I want to let you know, I think it's extremely important to know your numbers, and having good margins is extremely important. With that in mind, here we go. Number one reason, it's none of my business. The real reason I wanted to ask people that, and this is gonna sound terrible, is because I didn't think it was possible, and I didn't think that person was actually making money. That's super toxic, and it's really embarrassing to admit right now, but that was the truth when I first got started. I think a lot of people who ask that question, unless you're a beginner, you already know what the margins are. Like, if you're doing this, you know what the typical margins are. So you're just trying to poke holes in that person's business and, like, just leave them alone. What do you care? Just be happy for them. Number two, knowing someone else's margins does nothing to help my business grow. Everyone has different plans and goals and where they want to go, and that's up to them. Like, it's not for me to judge who has best margins or better margins. If someone's doing $1 million and making 100K, good for them. If someone's happy doing 1 million in sales on Amazon and taking home 50K, good for them as well. Like, it's whatever, that's the beauty of Amazon. It's whatever you want to get out of it is what you could do. You could go from 1 million to 2 million to 10 million to 50, or maybe I know people who are just happy doing 3 million and that's all they're going to do. They don't want to take it any further or bring it down at all. So it's totally up to you. Number three. What's up, guys? Just want to take a quick break and let you know that I finally launched a free Discord with my good friend Joe at Amazing ASINs on Instagram called FBA Inner Circle. We have both recently just came off of our first 100K months in sales and have been able to scale really quickly this year. And we want to show you guys how you can scale your business as well. And one of the biggest reasons we are able to scale our businesses because we each built inner circles through networking. Meaning we have friends that we can share leads with, bounce ideas off of, get feedback. And having that feedback is super, super important and makes you grow 10 times quicker. So that's why we created this Discord, to help you guys bounce off ideas off each other. We're gonna have how to get ungated in all the major categories in the Discord, weekly Zoom calls. You get an ability to ask us any questions. We'll answer them in the Discord. If you want to be part of the FBA Inner Circle, go to Side Hustle Experiment /FBA Inner Circle, and I hope to see you on the inside. Margins are always changing. When you're growing your business, when it's just getting started, when you're kind of in the middle, For me, when I first got started, I had some really, really bad margin months because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So obviously my margins were down because I was buying bad stuff, didn't know what I was doing. And so the margins are down. So if I told you, oh, my margins are 5%, maybe you would be like, oh, 5% of margins is normal. It's like, no, like I'm just struggling right now because I'm getting started. This month, the margins are the highest they've ever been. Why is that? We were able to get stuff so cheap. Will margins be the same in January and February? Probably not. Maybe in January they'll continue, but February, stuff's going to be back to regular price. There's not going to be as many sales. There's not going to be many as like, you know, buy $100, get like $25 back. Like that stuff's going away. So right now margins are super high. So if I told you, hey, my margins right now are 40%, they're not. You'd be like, oh, I have to make sure I get 40%. Like, no, it's a snapshot in time. So just focus on what works best for you. Number 4, I have found, and what I've heard for people who talk about margins from going to networking events and just talking to people on Zoom calls, I have found margins seem to be anywhere from 10 to 20%. It really just depends on how big you are, what you're good with doing. Wholesalers, I've seen some people say as low as 5. Those are people who probably have much bigger businesses. And I've seen people as good as 30. So I just assume everyone's somewhere in between there. From anywhere from 5 to 30. And if you're doing more than that, like, good for you. But again, it doesn't matter to me. Like, what is the difference? It doesn't matter what your margins are. All I care about is my margins and if they work for me and my lifestyle. I really don't care about other people. Number 5, while there may be some bad actors out there lying about how much they actually make on Amazon, I don't really care. I no longer care, especially if they're not selling something. And as soon as I really just started focusing on my business and my margins went through the roof. There is a point in time, if you're in the space, you know, a lot of people are talking about certain people saying, listen, I don't think their margins are that high. This is impossible. They're doing XYZ. And I was like, ooh, that's weird. Like, I don't know why they're like, and then I was like, why do you care? Like, who cares? Like, just focus on your business. Now, if they're trying to scam you and say, hey, we're doing, you know, we're doing 100K and making 50, I'm going to teach you how to do the same thing, then yeah, I have an issue with that. But for the most part, I would say, you know what? It's similar to almost going to a party and asking someone what their salary is. Like, you just don't do it. Like, it's like, or being like, hey, what's your salary? And they're like, okay, 100K. It's like, well, how much of that do you take home? Like, you would never ask that. So, like, why would you do it for Amazon? So that is my take on this whole what are your margins thing. And again, it is important. Like, you have to have good margins, but if they're good for you, great. Me, I always want to be able to try to get the highest margin I can possible because I want to make a lot of money. But, you know, I am willing on some items to only take 10% or 5% because it's easy to prep, or I'm not prepping. It's going to the prep center. And you know what? Sometimes as I've been growing, my margin has not gone down, but like I'm taking different stuff because I have different goals now. There's a time where I was only shooting for like 30-40%. And I realized like, well, there's a lot of stuff out there like that, but you know what I'm trying to do, I'm going to like mix it up a little bit. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to have margins like me. I don't have to have margins like you to be successful doing this Amazon thing. It only really comes into play, in my opinion, when someone is lying about their margins or how much they actually made to try to sell you something. They're not trying to sell you something, just ignore them. I've unfollowed tons of people because I think they're full of it. And after having conversations with them, I realized they were, so I just unfollowed them. So now it's no longer part of my life. So please like the video. Let me know down below what you think about this. I really am curious. And like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.